Hello, learner. Welcome to Mr. Quakers Teaches. I am Mr. Quakers. In this lesson, I'll be analyzing Charles Mungoshi's poem, Before the Sun. Now, this analysis is part of a course in which I've analyzed all the 15 poems in the GCSE or IGCSE anthology. And you can subscribe to it for only £5 a month. Or you can buy the entirety of the course for £45 a year. Now, the course contains predicted questions. So, predicted questions, each of the 15 poems has like predicted questions. Also, you will find sample A star or grade 9 essays as well that you can mimic or mirror your essays, around. So, for example, what you should include in the introduction, the body of your essay, how to use conjunctions to make your essays flow, what you should write about the form and then the structure of the poem, and also the conclusion as well. Because sometimes students have like a fair understanding or a good understanding of the poem, but they are unable to present it at essay. So that's something that you can look at, sample essays that you can mimic. Now, additionally, we also provide tuition services as well. So if you need tuition, for example, for the prose component, the unseen paper, or the drama component of the English literature, again, you can sign up for tuition. Now, the first lesson is a free lesson. So that means that you just join the lesson. If you like it, you stick and stay. And then if you do not like it, you look for other options. That's without obligations essentially. Now, additionally, we provide tuition for the other subjects as well. So English language, history, sociology, geography, math, the sciences, triple sciences. We have experienced teachers that will grow your confidence, help you to answer past papers, and ensure that within a very short period you're able to move grades, and achieve a very, very, good grade, or essentially ace your exam, to simplify the preparation or your preparation for the exam. Now, additionally, if you want to reach out to me for maybe other concerns that you have, you have questions, for example, you can send an email to mrq@mrquakersteaches.com. That is mrq@mrquakersteaches.com. Or you can also send me an email at mrquakersteaches@gmail.com. mrquakersteaches@gmail.com. So you can find the links to the courses, to how to sign up, and other bits as part of the description underneath this analysis. Let's begin our analysis. Let's start by speaking about the poet, Mungoshi. So, Charles Mungoshi was born on the 2nd of December 1947 at Mayeni, near Chivu in Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia. He was educated at St. Augustine's, that's at Penn Halonga. From 1975 to 1981, he worked at the Literature Bureau as an editor and then moved to Zimbabwe's publishing house. Now, he won a number of awards, but then his essays have also been about anti-colonialism, colonialism, post-colonial oppression as well. So he's also both. I think I've mentioned this. He's also a translator as well. Now, two of his novels, one in Shona and the other in English, both published in 1975, won the International Pen Awards. His first Shona novel is also very, very formidable. His other Shona novel is also very good as well. He's also known to be a very, very versatile writer. So that's just by a bit of a brief history about Charles Mungoshi. Now, the poem Before the Sun is quite a lengthy poem. Actually, I've broken it down for you to see how it flows. It's quite lengthy. The entirety of the poem is about 46 lines. The poem essentially, in terms of summary, is about this speaker who starts the day and then is outside doing some chopping down some tree, and then later on he rows some corn, and then he invites the personified sun to come and engage or enjoy the corn with him. Now, let me begin the analysis by reading the poem Before the Sun by Charles Mungoshi. Intense blue morning, promising early heat, and later in the afternoon, heavy rain. The bright chips fly from the sharp axe. for some distance through the air, arc, and eternities later settle down in showers on the dewy grass. It's a big log. But when you are 14, big logs are what you want. The wood gives up a sweet nose cleansing odor, which, unlike sawdust, doesn't make one sneeze. It sends up a thin spiral of smoke which later straightens and floats out to the distant sky, a signal of some sort or a sacrificial prayer. The wood hisses, the sparks fly. And when the sun finally shows up in the east like some latecomer to a feast, I've got 2 cups of maize ready for it. I tell the sun to come share with me the roasted maize, and the sun just winks like a grown-up. So I go ahead taking big alternative bites. One for the sun and one for me. This one for the sun, this one for me. So the cups are just 2 little skeletons in the sun. Now, the poem opens to this idyllic day, all right, that we see with a detailed, intense blue morning. So that presents the day as a perfect day. It's idyllic. It's beyond ordinary, essentially. While the detail, promising early heat, shows that there are indications of a warm summer-like temperature. So even though it's idyllic, there are signs that, something will go off as the day progresses. Now the detail, and later in the afternoon, signals that the speaker wants to reveal what happened as the day progressed. While heavy rain reveals that the rains fell in torrents and likely the place became cold. Remember, it starts with intense blue morning and then heat, and now it's heavy rain. Now I think the movement of the day in that instance shows that the day was not predictable, but the speaker was ready to enjoy his day or have a good day. So that tells us how quickly, in terms of nature can change. Everything can be looking very well and nice, but then suddenly it will change, and then maybe change for the worse. In the second stanza of the poem, we see the use of vivid visual imagery, and that we see in the first 2 lines of the second stanza. The bright chips fly from the sharp axe. That provides vivid visual imagery of sparks flying, like birds, as the axe strikes the tree that is being felled. So as it's hitting the tree, the sparks are flying. Now this, gives a sense of magic or a magical aura to something that we can describe as a very, very, physical demanding chore or work. So it shows us that even though the speaker is chopping down a tree, he visualizes magic to it. He doesn't see it as something that, that is strenuous and difficult to do. That tells us how, engaged and then in tune with nature that the speaker is. He's enjoying it. Then he continues and says, for some distance through the air. That suggests that the bright chips floated. So the bright chips that have been chopped were just floating, and creates the impression that it was airborne for a longer time than usual or than natural. So it was flying. So when it cuts it, it doesn't just fall to the ground, it's just flying, like almost like fairies or something like that. So it's this point that it goes beyond like the natural. Again, it shows us that when people engage with nature with their minds, it helps feed their imagination. The white arc provides vivid visual imagery of the C shape that they made. So as was going, the chips were going through the air. There was this C shape that was making, like arc. Again, the magic that the speaker is enjoying as he engages with nature. Now, we see the use of hyperbole or hyperbole. Now, the hyperbole is seen in the detail and eternities later. So that's an hyperbole that creates the impression that the wood chips floated for an infinite amount of time. They were not just dropping down to the ground. They were just floating for an infinite, extremely long period of time. Now, the use of details settled down in showers provides vivid visual imagery. And it's also a metaphor as well that likens the chips to gently falling raindrops, which is something that, we understand. It's just falling gently. So they settle down like showers. While on dewy grass reveals the presence of grass. Again, that's an allusion to, the presence of nature there. So it shows us that there is grass and then there is dew. Settle down in showers on the dewy grass also provides vivid visual imagery of the magic-like bright chips falling to the ground. So remember, this is a chore, or this is something that you need a lot of effort to do, even though the axe is sharp, but you need a lot of effort. But what the speaker sees as he chops the tree is akin to magic. So that again, like I mentioned, I highlight the theme of magic in nature. In stanza 3, it says it's a big log. That reveals the size of the tree that was chopped down by the speaker. So it's a massive tree. And it also carries a tone of pride, almost as if the speaker is proud of what he was able to achieve. He's applauding himself for his great achievement. So it is a big log. Then he continues and says, but when you are 14, that is an allusion or reveals that maybe that we can infer that maybe the speaker was 14 at this time, right? When he says, but when you are 14, big logs are what you want. That allows the reader to infer that the speakers infer the speaker's age, while the repetition of the second person, you creates the impression that he's speaking directly to the reader. So it's like, you as the reader, when you were 14, you wanted to achieve great things, didn't you? So it drags the reader in and shows that he wants the reader to engage with him, to be one with him in this striking sense of place. So that he's speaking directly to the reader so that they can relate to him. He wants it to be relatable. Now, this stanza, that is the first stanza, also touches on the theme of pride and taking certain actions as a rite of passage. There are certain actions, for example, that in the past, a man or a woman would have to take to show that this is womanhood, this is manhood. There's this sense that he's saying that chopping down a big log or chopping down a big tree, a massive tree, is akin to a rite of passage, and he's achieved it by felling this giant tree. Now we also see the use of repetition as well. So the word big log, for example, or big logs is repeated to emphasize the speaker's extraordinary feat. He's achieved this grand thing, and the repetition of you, like I mentioned, is to emphasize that he wants the reader to engage with him, to relate to him, to experience what he's experiencing. That is a way to create a striking sense of place. Now, in terms of the themes of the poem, I've sort of reduced the size of the poem, so please forgive me, because I want you to be able to see how I explain the point of view. So in terms of the themes of the poem, you see the wonder of nature, love for nature, outdoor living, working outdoors, eating natural food, among other themes. In terms of the tone as well, we see joy. So the speaker is quite joyful. Praise, or there's this playfulness, happiness, pride. Those are some of like the tones that we see in the poem. Now, in terms of the point of view of the poem is recounted with a blend of the first person. That's when we see when the speaker refers to himself as I, me, multiple times in the poem. Then we see the use of the second person, in stanza 3, when the speaker now says it's a big log, but when you are 14, big logs are what you want. So in that sense, he's speaking directly to the reader to invite them into his experience of the importance of chopping large logs. Then we also see the use of the third person point of view as well when he's talking about the sun, the wood, other elements. So that's how we see it. So the blend of multiple aspects. So there's this point that the speaker is there. The speaker wants to invite the reader, and he's also inviting other aspects of nature so that we can all engage in nature, and enjoy it. Now, in terms of the form and structure of the poem has 46 lines in total. Now, as a student that is writing the GCSE or IGCSE, writing about the form and structure of the poem is central. In fact, it's one of the A's. You have to be able to talk about the form and then the structure of the poem, Because if you're looking to get there grade 9, grade 8, or you're looking for an A or an A star, you have to speak about the form and structure. And again, you can look at the sample essay that I have there. So the poem has 46 lines in total, but it's broken into 9 stanzas of varying lengths. So it's a free verse poem, which means that it does not have a rhyme scheme. And that shows that nature, engaging with nature, is not something that has a rhyme scheme. You know, it's not like something that, okay, I'll do this and then I'll get this. I'll walk here. No, it's something you have to just enjoy because every day is unpredictable. You can be walking, oh, it's a very sunny day, and you're just going out and then suddenly it begins to rain. Now, the irregular line and stanza lengths may be the speakers who are alluding to the unpredictability of outdoor living. So you cannot predict your experience when you're living outdoors. Now, the poet also employs enjambment as well. Enjambment is seen in the flow of words from one line to the next line without pause. And I think the speaker does this because he wants us to show that when you're engaging with nature, there are multiple aspects of it. You're chopping trees, you're eating corn, you're engaging with the sun, you know, your nose is being cleaned, so it's going to rain. So there are multiple layers of the sun, and then there's this flow. And it's also maybe the speaker's way of showing us that he's very, interested, eager even, to speak to us about his experience before the personified sun. So here you have it, Charles Mungoshi's Before the Sun has been simplified. Like I mentioned, this analysis is part of a course in which I've analyzed all the 15 poems in the GCSE or IGCSE anthology. The course contains predicted GCSE or IGCSE questions that you can try and answer to check your understanding of, the analysis. It also contains sample A-star questions, sample A-star essays that you can look at, mimic to see. So A-star or grade 9 if you're writing it in the UK essays. Now, additionally, right, we also provide tuition as well. To get access to the course that contains all the analysis, it's only £5 a month. That's for subscription. That's £5 a month. Or you can buy the entirety of the course for £45 a year. So you have it. You have the full analysis of each of the 15 poems. You have predicted questions. You have sample A-star questions as well. Sample A-star essays as well that you can mimic and practice what to do in each of the paragraphs. Additionally, we also offer tuition services as well. So if you need help in the other components of the English literature, like the drama, the unseen, the prose, or even the poetry, which this is part of, again, you can sign up for our tuition services. The first lesson is a free lesson. It's a trial lesson, so it's free. You can engage and then see. If you like the lessons, you can stick and stay. If not, you look for other options. Now, additionally, we provide tuition in other subjects: English language, geography, history, sociology, math, the sciences. We have a number of teachers that are very experienced that can help you, improve your confidence. I mean, I've been teaching for since 2008, so I know that you need to, improve or help students engage, grow their confidence. I mean, I've seen that as a candidate that is, a learner that is, that who has like very good confidence can move 2 grades from maybe a D to a B, or even from a 3 or 4 to a 6 or even 7. That's what confidence can do, and that's what we inspire to inject into students at mrquakersteaches.com. Now, additionally, if you have other engagements, you need help with writing or other things, and you need to reach out to me, you can send me an email. You can send an email to mrq@mrquakersteaches.com. That is mrq@mrquakersteaches.com. Or you can send me an email. You can send the email to mrquakersteaches@gmail.com. Remember, you can subscribe for £5 a month or £45 a year, or you can reach me directly if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining this analysis. Until next time, bye-bye.